The deal *0 ran through the smoke. Her arms trembled as she held her child close to her chest. The sky above her planet was black, filled with broken ships and fire. Buildings fell behind her. Sirens screamed. The ground shook. Her child coughed a weak, dry sound that broke her heart. Zira had no more food, no more medicine, no more family. The war had taken everything. Except her child. She reached the edge of the city where aliens came to sell, trade, or beg. A metal tower stood tall, guarded by machines and greedy eyes. It was a human trade post, dangerous, unforgiving, but it was her only hope. She stepped forward, her face covered in dirt and ash. A large alien trader looked down at her from behind a glass window. He wore a shiny badge, smiled like a snake. Species? He asked. Varellin, Zyra answered, her voice cracked. I have no money, but I need help. My son is sick. No charity here, the man said. I will trade myself, she whispered. The room went silent. The trader blinked. You want to sell yourself? Zyra nodded. Her arms tightened around her child. You know what humans do to alien workers, right? Not all are kind, I know, she said, but I don't care what happens to me. Just promise me he'll be safe. The trader smiled again. We can arrange that. There's one buyer, human, quiet one, paid a lot in advance. Want someone loyal, you fit. Zyra's eyes filled with tears, but she stood tall. She kissed her child's forehead, then handed him to the medics behind the gate. He cried for her. She turned away before she cried too. The deal was made. Zyra sat inside the cold ship, metal collar around her neck. Her eyes stared out the window as her planet grew smaller behind her. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the emptiness. Her child was gone, safe, maybe. She had nothing left now but this deal. The ship landed on Earth. She expected noise, chaos, cages maybe. But what she saw was quiet, a small house, trees, blue skies, birds chirping. It felt wrong. The ship door opened with a soft hiss. A human man stood there, not tall, not armed, just normal. Messy brown hair, tired eyes. He wore simple clothes and held a cup of tea in his hands. Zyra waited for orders, yelling, chains, something. Instead, he blinked and said, You must be Zyra. Are you hungry? She didn't reply. He nodded like he understood. Right, let's go inside. She followed him slowly, unsure. No guards, no cuffs, no cold words. Inside, the house was clean but strange. Walls full of books, warm lights. A strange smell like something sweet was cooking. He pointed to a chair. You can sit if you want. She stayed standing. I'm Ethan, he said, setting down his cup. I bought your contract. She looked at him. What do you want me to do? He paused. Nothing. Not yet, she frowned. You paid. For me, there must be a task. He smiled sadly. Yeah, well, maybe I just didn't want someone else to buy you. Zyra didn't understand. She had heard of humans cruel, clever, powerful. But this one didn't seem like any of those things. He seemed broken. He showed her a small room. A bed, a window, no locks. You can stay here, he said. Rest, we'll talk more tomorrow. That night, Zyra didn't sleep. She watched the stars through the window. She thought of her child. Wondered if he was still crying. Wondered what kind of man this Ethan truly was. Why had he bought her? The next morning, Zyra explored the house quietly. She found Ethan outside, digging in the dirt. Garden, he said, wiping sweat from his brow. Trying to grow strawberries. I suck at it. She stood still. I can help. He looked up, surprised. You don't have to. I want to. They worked side by side. No chains, no shouting. Just the wind and birds and soil. Zyra still didn't trust him. But deep inside, a small thought whispered, maybe. He's different. The stranger Zero woke to silence. No alarms, no chains, no barking. Orders. Just the soft hum of wind outside the window and the warm smell of something baking. She sat up slowly, confused. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then it all came back. The deal. The human. The house. Ethan. Zyr had expected cruelty. She had prepared herself for pain, for shame, for slavery. But instead, she was given a bed, a warm meal, and silence. And silence, Zira learned, could be more terrifying than violence. Ethan was already up when she walked into the kitchen. He was staring at a toaster as if it had insulted him personally. "Morning," he said. "Want some toast?" Zira blinked. "Toast?" "Bread," he said, "but crispier." She didn't understand, but she nodded. Humans were weird. That much was true. As she sat, Ethan placed the toast in front of her and stepped back, like she might bite. Zira watched him. His eyes were dark with sleep, but something was hiding behind them. A sadness. A secret. He looked like a man who had seen too much and slept too little. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Days passed. Then a week. Zira began to understand the rhythm of this strange place. Ethan didn't demand anything. He never raised his voice. He gave her books to read, some with pictures, some with alien languages she didn't know. He taught her how to use the kitchen, showed her how to grow plants, even gave her a strange glowing cube that played calming music. But not once did he touch her. Not even a handshake. No orders. No expectations. Zira didn't understand it. One night, while Ethan sat by the fire with a book, Zira finally asked the question that haunted her. "You bought me," she said. "Why?" Ethan looked up. His eyes met hers, and something flickered in them. A memory. A wound. "You look tired," he said softly. "That's not a reason to buy someone," Zira replied. "No," he agreed. "It's not." He stood up and walked away. That night, Zira couldn't sleep. Her mind spun in circles. Was this some kind of trap? A test? She remembered the stories told to children in the camps. Beware the kind ones. They smile before they strike. She watched him the next day, watched how he walked. Always a little stiff, like an old soldier. He flinched at loud noises, spoke carefully, avoided eye contact. He was gentle, but it wasn't natural. It felt learned, like he was forcing himself to be something he wasn't. And sometimes, when he thought she wasn't looking, his face changed, his smile dropped. His hands shook. He looked like someone running from a ghost. Only he could see. One afternoon, as Zira was hanging clothes outside, she saw a dot in the woods, a shadow, something watching. She froze. Her alien senses sharpened. The figure didn't move, didn't blink. It was tall, metal, hunched, almost like a military drone. But before she could call out, it disappeared into the trees. She told Ethan. His reaction? Panic. Real, visible panic. He grabbed a small device from under the floorboards and scanned the area. He muttered to himself in low tones, tapping buttons too fast. His hands trembled. Was it flying? He asked. No, Zira said. It walked. Ethan cursed. I thought I disabled all of them. All of what? Zira asked. He didn't answer. That night, Zira followed him. He left the house just past midnight, quiet like a ghost. She moved through the trees behind him, careful not to step on leaves. He didn't notice. He reached an old metal shack behind the hill. She watched from the bushes as he entered a code. The door opened. Inside were weapons, old medals, a soldier's uniform, data chips, photos of alien children, maps. And in the middle of the room, a large cryopod covered in dust. Zira felt cold. What was he hiding? Ethan stood before the pod like it haunted him. Then he whispered, I'm trying, okay? Just one life. One life is enough. Let me fix one. Zira left before he turned. Back in the house, she sat in the dark, holding a blanket tight around her. This wasn't what she expected. This man, this human, was not what she expected. She had been bought, but not owned, saved, but not understood. The next morning, Ethan acted normal again. Toast, garden talk, silence. Zira watched him. But now she didn't just see a quiet man. She saw the storm beneath his skin. Then the next letter arrived. It was dropped by a drone, silent, sleek, and black. Ethan grabbed it before Zira could read it. But she saw the seal. It was the mark of the United Earth Military Command, and written in red across the top, "You are being watched." The child's cry. Zira dreamed of her child again. In the dream, he was reaching out to her small fingers, pale skin, tears in his golden eyes. He said nothing, just looked at her like she had left him in a storm, like he didn't understand why. She reached out, but he faded. Then the cry came. It wasn't from her child. It was something else. A long, low howl in the distance. Zira jolted awake, gasping. She wasn't in the war camps. She wasn't in the trade post. She was here on Earth. But something had changed. The air outside felt wrong. It started with a letter, another one. Delivered not by drone this time, but by a creature. It was a sleek machine, shaped like a wolf. Its eyes glowed blue, and it walked like it was alive. Zira watched from the window as it padded across the yard, dropped the letter at the front door, then disappeared into the forest without a sound. Ethan didn't say a word when he picked it up. He simply read it, burned it in the fire, and went to the garden like nothing had happened. But Zira saw the sweat on his neck, the way his hands shook when he touched the soil. She didn't ask. Not yet, but she would. That evening while they ate in silence, Ethan finally spoke. "I made a call," he said. Zira looked up. To who? He didn't meet her eyes. A medical ship. From a private outpost. Off-grid. No tracking. Zira froze. "Why?" "To get him," Ethan said softly. "Your son." She dropped her fork. "What?" "I traced his ID. Found where the traitor sent him. He's alive, Zira, but they didn't treat him. They stored him." Her heart stopped. "Stored?" She whispered. Asterisk. "Frozen. Medical stasis. Cheaper. Easier. They were waiting for a buyer who could afford full treatment." Zira stood, trembling. "You found him?" Ethan nodded. "I paid for the transfer. He'll be here in 3 days." She fell back into her chair. Her legs wouldn't hold her. Her child. Here? Alive? "You did this for me." "No," Ethan said. "I did it for him." That night, Zira stared at the stars, unable to breathe from the weight in her chest. She had sold herself to save her child, but this man, this strange broken human, he was saving them both. She didn't know why, but she also didn't know how to thank him. The next morning, Ethan was gone. Zira searched the house, the garden, the hill shack. No sign, but on the table was a small glowing cube. When she touched it, a message played. Ethan's voice. "Zira, if you're hearing this, it means I'm either dead or late to breakfast. I had to go check something. You've seen them now, the drones, the watchers. I thought I buried all that a long time ago. I didn't. They know I broke protocol, that I brought you here, that I'm trying to save your son. They're watching, Zira, and they might not just be watching anymore." The message ended. Zira stared at the cube. She knew then Ethan hadn't bought her to own her. He bought her to protect her. From who? His own people. That night, the cry came again. But this time, it wasn't a dream. She heard it clearly. Out in the woods, long, mechanical, like a dying animal made of wires. She stepped outside. Heart pounding. Something was moving between the trees. Tall, thin, smooth, like metal but bending like flesh. It didn't come closer, but it watched. She ran back inside and locked every door. Ethan returned the next morning, dirty, blood on his sleeve, Zira ran to him. "Where were you?" "I had to stop them from tracking the medical ship," he said. "They're using sky tags. Tiny invisible satellites. You breathe near one, they know your species, age, history." She stared. "How do you know this?" He looked tired. "Because I helped build them." They sat in silence. Zira finally asked, "Who are you, Ethan?" He leaned back, eyes on. "The fire. I was a medic. During the galactic sweep. You know the one. She did. Her people were caught in it. They were labeled non-critical and left to rot. I thought I was helping," Ethan said. "But we weren't saving lives. We were sorting them. Healing. Humans tagging the rest." He took a breath. "One day I found a child, Varellin, half dead. I tried to save her. My team stopped me." Zira's heart ached. "What happened to her?" "She died," he said, "and I left." The next 2 days passed slowly. They barely spoke. Zira tried to prepare herself. To see her son again. To believe it was real, but deep down, she was afraid. What if he didn't remember her? What if he was too far gone? Then the ship came, a small craft, unmarked, silent. It hovered over the field and opened its hatch. Zira ran inside. In a cold chamber lay her son, pale, still, but breathing. She fell to her knees, sobbing. Ethan stood back, letting her have the moment. She held her child's hand. "Mommy's here," she whispered. "Mommy's here now." They brought him inside. Ethan connected him to a medical device, clearly alien tech, stolen or repurposed. It beeped softly. "He'll wake up soon," Ethan said. "Give it time." Zira sat beside her son for hours. She didn't eat. Didn't blink when he stirred. She almost screamed. His tiny fingers twitched. His eyes fluttered open. "Golden just like hers, Mama." She broke. Ethan quietly left the room to give them space. That night, Zira found him outside, staring at the stars. "I don't understand." "You," she said. He smiled sadly. "That makes 2 of us. You could have done anything. You could have lived in peace. I tried. But peace is loud when you know someone else is suffering." She looked at him for a long time. Then she asked the question she had buried deep inside. "Why me?" Ethan looked at her and this time he answered honestly. "Because you looked like someone who hadn't given up. And I needed to remember what that looked like. But deep in the forest, something was still watching. The creature with eyes. Like fire turned its head toward the house and whispered in a voice not meant for this world. Asset located." The unveiling Zira slept lightly now. Every sound pulled her halfway to waking. She would sit up, hold her child close, and wait for the darkness to feel safe again. But on the 4th night after his arrival, the darkness didn't feel safe. It felt occupied. She got up, careful not to wake her son, and crept to the window. The forest was still, too still. No wind, no sounds. Even the birds had gone silent. Then she saw it at the tree line. Tall, motionless, a silhouette with glowing red lines across its face. It was closer than before. Zira's heart pounded. She backed away slowly, grabbed the emergency beacon Ethan had shown her, and tapped it 3 times. Seconds later, footsteps rushed down the hall. Ethan burst in, holding a small glowing device in one hand and a sleek alien gun in the other. "What did you see?" he asked. Zira pointed. "It's here, again." Ethan looked out the window. Then he froze. "Damn it," he muttered. "They sent an observer class. That's not surveillance. That's pre-strike." Zira's eyes narrowed. "Strike? Against us?" "No, against me." Ethan led her down into a hidden cellar beneath the kitchen. The door hissed shut behind them, sealing with a metallic lock. Inside, weapons, backup generators, food supplies. And a pod. Zira stared. "What is all this?" Ethan looked tired. "Insurance." He walked to a control panel, flicked several switches, then turned to her. "It's time I tell you everything." He sat on a crate, face lit only by a low blue light. "I wasn't just a medic," he began. "I was part of Project Helix, a black ops group formed during the galactic sweep. We weren't just healing soldiers, we were reprogramming them." Zira's breath caught. Reprogramming? Testing alien resistance. Psychological warfare. Behavioral control. He sighed. "We tagged species. We calculated the risk they posed to humanity. We decided who was worth saving. And my people, you, were labeled expendable non-aggressives. Smart, peaceful, but not militarily valuable." Zira felt sick. She turned away. "I tried to change the data," Ethan said. "Tried to push for aid. They threatened to lock me up. Said I'd gone native." He stood pacing now. "I walked away, burned my identity. Took files, evidence. That observer out there? It's here to confirm I'm still alive." "Why now?" Zira asked. "Because I crossed the line. I didn't just hide. I acted. I intercepted a medical transfer. I pulled a tagged alien child off the grid. That child. Your son." Her hands shook. "You risked everything?" "I already lost everything," he said. "Saving him was the first time I felt like a human again." Silence fell, heavy, unbearable. Then the ground shook slightly. But it was there. Zira's instincts flared. "That's not weather." "No," Ethan agreed. "It's calling in others." He moved to a panel and pulled up a holographic map. Red dots were appearing one by one, closing in. "They'll be here by morning." "Then we run," Zira said. But Ethan didn't answer. He just stared at the pod. "No," he whispered. "We fight." Zira followed him back upstairs. She checked her son still asleep, safe. Then she turned to Ethan. "You can't win against them alone." "I'm not alone," he said. "Not anymore." She didn't want to understand what that meant. But she did. He was asking her to pick a side. The next hours were preparation. Ethan activated defense drones, mounted pulse barriers, gave Zira a lasma blade. She had fought before. She remembered how. But this time, it was for her son, for a strange man who had broken every rule just to show her kindness. Before sunrise, the first drone arrived, silent, floating, a red eye scanning the house that had hovered above the garden. Ethan stepped out. "No tricks," he called. "You know why I left." A voice buzzed through the air. "You are in violation of interstellar command codes. Harboring flagged alien species. Unauthorized extraction. Violation 3387B. Zira stepped out beside him. "She's not a violation," Ethan snapped. "She's a mother. Her child was dying. You left him to rot." The drone didn't react. It simply said, "You have 10 minutes to surrender." Then it flew away. Ethan turned to Zira. "We have 10 minutes to say goodbye or 10 minutes to prepare." She raised her blade. "Then let's make it count." They set up in the field. Drones buzzed in the distance. The air felt heavy, like it was holding its breath. Zira stood beside Ethan, ready. Then the sky lit up. 3 ships dropped from the clouds, sleek, black, humming like metal insects. They landed softly, doors opening, and out came soldiers. Not human, but machines in human skin. Project Helix's final creation, obedience. Soldiers without minds, only orders. Zira had heard of them. Thought they were a myth. Now they walked toward her son. Ethan stepped forward. "I warned you," he said. "I'm not your soldier anymore." He tapped a device on his wrist, and the pod hidden deep beneath the house lit up. "What did you do?" Zira whispered. "I didn't just steal files," Ethan said. "I stole a failsafe. The obedience." Pause. From the pod, a signal fired. "A Helix override code." Ethan turned to Zira. "It won't stop them long, but it'll give you time." She understood. "You're staying," she said. "I have to," he said. "If they take me, they'll stop looking for you." Zira stepped close. "You gave me my child back. Let me give something back." He smiled, just once. "I already got it." The battle was fast, brutal. Explosions lit the trees. Drones screamed. Zira cut through metal bodies with precision. Ethan shot with soldiers' aim. But the obedience kept coming. One by one, the red dots on the map disappeared, fighting, back against the override. Then one reached the house. Zira sprinted. She kicked. The door opened, just in time to see her son's eyes widen as the machine raised its weapon. And then boom. The obedient fell. A single shot to the core. Ethan stood behind it, arm bleeding, eyes blazing. "I told you," he growled. "Not my house." By dawn, only 2 people remained standing. Zira, clutching her child, and Ethan, wounded but alive. Smoke rose from the trees. The obedience lay in pieces, but it wasn't over. The final drone hovered above them. It didn't attack. It simply scanned them. Then whispered, "You've made your choice, Ethan Rayner. Earth no longer claims you." And it vanished into the sky. Later, Zira wrapped Ethan's arm in bandages. "You could have died." "So could you," he replied. "Why did you really?" "Buy me?" she asked again. Ethan looked at her. His voice cracked. "Because I needed to believe there was still someone out there worth saving." Zira took his hand. "You were wrong," she whispered. "You didn't just save me." She looked at her son, who now slept peacefully in her lap. "You saved us." The battle was over, but the air still felt like war. Metal scraps littered the garden. Burnt grass, cracked soil. One of the drones still sparked weakly, its red eye flickering like it wanted to blink, but had forgotten how. Zira stood on the porch, holding her child close. Ethan sat nearby, arm in a sling, face pale, exhausted, alive but not quite healed. "You should rest," Zira said softly. "I'll rest when the galaxy learns to mind its own damn business," Ethan muttered. Staring at a broken, obedient arm. Zyra gave a half smile. But peace didn't stay long, because as the sun rose, so did a signal. It started as a small ping from the cum dish behind the house. Barely a blip. Then it pulsed again, stronger. This wasn't human tech. The rhythm was different. Familiar. Zyra's heart dropped. "That's Varellan code," she whispered. Ethan stood instantly. "Your people?" "Maybe," she said, "but it's military grade. Encrypted." He moved to the console and activated the decryptor. A pay voice came through. Female. Sharp. Unforgiving. "Zira of Clan Sillin. You are hereby summoned by the Varellan Preservation Command. We tracked your genetic signal through Helix surveillance. We come for the child. Your presence is optional." The message ended. Silence. Ethan spoke first. "Optional? That's generous." Zira stared at the screen. "They're coming for him," she said. "Not for me." The Varellans had changed. Zyra remembered her people as scholars, healers, peaceful explorers, but war and abandonment had twisted them. The ones who survived became harder, sharper, less trusting. Now they had their own ships, their own soldiers, and apparently their own reasons for not trusting humans. "Why now?" Ethan asked. "I broke the code," Zira whispered. "By bonding with a human, they think my child is compromised." Ethan stood. "If they think he's some kind of danger, we can't let them take him." Zira hesitated. "They're my people." Ethan turned to her. "And what are we, Zira?" She had no answer. The ship arrived that night. No lights. No noise. It just appeared, like it had always been there. Sleek and silver. Shaped like a teardrop frozen mid-fall. From its belly, a bridge of light extended to the grass. 3 figures stepped out. One was tall and robed in violet, clearly a commander. The second carried a scanning device. The third. Zira's breath caught. It was her sister. Zira, the sister said, her voice cool and distant. I thought you were dead, Zira whispered. We all thought you were lost. But then we saw your signal next to his. She nodded toward Ethan. Zyra stood protectively in front of him. I made a deal to save my son. No, the sister said, her voice sharpening. You polluted him. You let a human touch Virellan blood. That child may be yours, but he does not belong to us anymore. Ethan stepped forward. I don't want to fight your people, he said. But you're not taking him. The commander finally spoke, cold, clear. The child is classified as biologically critical. We must study him. He's not an experiment, Zira snapped. He's my son. He's ours now, the commander said. Ethan reached for his weapon. Zira stopped him. No, let me. She stepped forward, facing her sister and the commander. I've seen what humans do wrong, she said. But I've also seen what they do right. My child was left in stasis by your allies. Forgotten. Ethan saved him. He didn't use him. He didn't test him. He just held him. Tell me, she asked, looking straight into the commander's cold eyes, which one of you would have done the same? Silence. Then her sister's expression changed. Just slightly. The child stirred in Zira's arms. He blinked up at the new visitors. Small, curious, unafraid. The commander stepped forward. The child whimpered. And suddenly, every drone Ethan had hidden activated at once. Turrets emerged from the soil. Motion sensors spun. The entire property growled like a living beast. Ethan stepped beside Zira. Try it, he said. Please. The commander paused. This is a mistake, he said. Your child will grow up between two worlds and belong to neither. Then he'll build a third, Zira said. With both. The commander turned without another word and walked back to the ship. But her sister lingered. You really believe he'll be safe with them? She asked. Zira looked at Ethan. Yes. Safer than I ever was with us. Her sister gave a small nod. Bitterness mixed with something else, regret. Then she was gone too. The ship vanished. And just like that, her people were gone again. But Zira didn't cry, because this time she got to stay. Later that night, Zira and Ethan sat outside. Her son slept inside. Finally safe. You could have let them take him, Ethan said. I could have, Zira agreed. But I already lost him once. He looked at her. I would have stopped them, even if you hadn't. I know, she said. That's why I didn't need to ask. Then came the whisper from deep in the forest. A voice not Virellan, not human. Just wrong. The child is born of two. Let the watchers decide his worth. Zira stood, alarm rising. That wasn't them. Ethan looked toward the trees. No. That wasn't anyone we know. They weren't done. Not yet. The choice. The whisper didn't go away. Zira lay in bed beside her child, but she couldn't sleep. Her ears strained against the silence. Her heart refused to rest. She remembered the voice that had floated through the trees. Let the watchers decide his worth, not a threat, not a warning, a judgment. And judgment never came alone. Ethan hadn't spoken much since the Virellan ship left. He stayed busy, fixing drones, rewiring shields, adjusting weapons. But it wasn't just survival instinct. He was scared. Zira could feel it. That night, as the stars blinked above their tiny patch of freedom, she found him on the roof, sitting with his legs dangling over the edge. You didn't sleep, she said softly. He shook his head. They're not done, are they? She asked. No. What are they? Ethan didn't answer right away. He stared at the dark line of trees far beyond the fields. You ever hear of the myth of the first mind? He asked. Zira nodded. Old Virellan bedtime story. A being that watched the stars before any of us were born. Ethan gave a hollow laugh. We called them the architects. Our scientists said it was just folklore. But deep in the war archives, there were whispers of something else. Observers beyond. Even helix clearance. Creatures that watch civilizations grow and intervene when they cross a line. Zira swallowed hard. What line? Ethan turned to her. The line between nature and design, between creation and manipulation. Zira understood. Her son was not just a child, he was a cross-blood hybrid. Born of two species that once saw each other as enemies. Now something ancient had noticed, and it was curiosity. Zira knew could be more dangerous than hate. The next day, the forest opened. It didn't split or explode, it just moved. Trees bent, air rippled. Space twisted like it was trying to remember how it was supposed to behave. From that rip in the forest came a figure, humanoid, tall, skin like polished obsidian. Eyes like liquid stars. It wore no armor. Needed none. It simply walked until it stood at the edge of the property. Zira stood in front of the house. Ethan beside her. The creature stopped. It spoke without moving its mouth. Its voice entered there. Mine's like a thought already waiting. The child is a variable. Ethan narrowed his eyes. What does that mean? He is not predicted, not mapped, not bound. That makes him unsafe. Zira's voice cracked with rage. He's a child, a boy. He is a question, the being said, and questions must be answered. Suddenly, they were not alone. From behind the creature, others stepped forward. Different shapes. Different designs, some metal, some smoke. Some looked like animals made of glass. One looked exactly like Zira, another like Ethan. Zira clutched her son protectively, the lead being raised one finger. You must choose, Zira, the human or the ascension. She frowned. What does that mean? The child can remain, as he is connected to this world, or he can be elevated, freed from species, given a mind beyond flesh. But if he stays, he will be hunted forever. If he ascends, he loses you, and all memory of love. Zira staggered back. No. Ethan said, you don't get to choose for him. The creature turned. We are not choosing, you are. Zira's heart pounded. Why me? Because you chose to love a human. That choice has already broken one law. We will not make the second choice for you. They gave her 1 day. By the next sunset, they would return, and she would have to decide, keep her son as he was hers, and hunt it. Or surrender him to something beyond species, beyond war, beyond love. But safe. Zira sat in the garden for hours, her son asleep against her chest. Ethan sat across from her, silent. He finally spoke. You don't have to say it. I don't know what to say, she whispered. You do, he said. You're just afraid to hear it. She looked at him. I love him more than my own life, she said. But what if loving him means he's always in danger? Ethan's face broke. Then we fight for him. He could be free, she whispered. Untouchable, protected by something ancient. Never have to run again, but never feel again, Ethan replied. No fear, no love, just function. She looked at her son's face. His fingers twitched. He smiled in his sleep. Do you know what he dreamed of yesterday? Zira said. What? He said he wanted to ride a bird, not a ship. Not a machine, a bird. Ethan smiled. Only a child. Who knows love would dream like that? The next sunset came like a hammer. The watchers returned. The lead stepped forward. Your answer? Zira stepped forward too. Her voice was clear. He stays. He will be hunted. Then come, she said. Try. You are not enough. Zira looked at Ethan. No, she said. But we are. You risk all for one. Zira shook her head. No, she said. We risk all for hope, and that's something even you can't calculate. The watchers didn't move. Then slowly, the leader bowed. Only slightly. We will not intervene, but we will observe. If he becomes what we fear, we will return. They vanished into light. The world returned to normal. As normal as it could be. Ethan and Zira stood in the fading glow of dusk, their son between them. You really would have let him go? Ethan asked. No, she said. But I had to look. Like I might. He raised a brow. So, you're a liar now? She smiled faintly. No, I'm a mother. That night, the child spoke his first full sentence in weeks. Are we going to be okay now? Zira looked at Ethan. He nodded. Yeah, she said, pulling him into her arms. We're going to be okay now. But far, far away beyond stars and machines and time. A single watcher stayed behind, watching, still curious, because something impossible had just happened. A variable had been chosen by love, not logic. And that was worth observing. The beginning. It rained the next morning. Real rain, not chemical fog or bioengineered mist. Just clean, honest water falling from the sky. Zira stood barefoot in the garden, her child in her arms, both of them laughing as drops soaked their hair and clothes. Ethan watched from the porch, a soft smile on his face. He'd never seen her laugh like that before. Not even once. That alone was worth the war. Days passed. No watchers. No Varellan ships. No more red-eyed drones hiding behind the trees. Just peace. The kind that felt fragile, like it could be broken by a single whispered word. But still. Peace. Zira's son, now stronger every day, began learning human things. Gardening, music, how to destroy toast in 7 different ways. He still spoke in mixed languages and sometimes had nightmares, but they grew less frequent. His favorite question was always the same. Tell me the story again, of how you found me. And Zira always told it. But one night, while her son slept, Zira found Ethan in the old war shed, the place he never opened unless something was wrong. He was staring at a datapad. Face pale, eyes lost. What is it? She asked. He didn't look up. I didn't tell you everything. Zira froze. Ethan. He finally met her gaze. When I left Project Helix, I didn't just steal files or override codes, he said. I took something else. He held up the pad. Zira read the screen. Genetic code. Varellan Human Integration Project. Oracle file. Status. Active. She felt her knees go weak. You knew about him? She whispered. I didn't. No, it was him, Ethan said quickly. The Oracle project was a secret even inside Helix. There's only one embryo marked as viable. It was moved off the record. I never found out where. He stepped forward, voice shaking. But when I saw your son's DNA signature, I realized. Zira backed away. He's not just our child. No, he's their experiment, Zira. Zira's mind spun. All this time, the Watchers hadn't just been watching a hybrid. They'd been watching a weaponized prophecy, one designed by humans and then erased from history. But now, he had a name. Oracle. And he wasn't designed to be a child. He was designed to be a guide. A bridge, the first of a new kind. I didn't mean to keep it from you, Ethan said. I was scared. If they knew, if even the Watchers knew, they'd never leave us alone. Zira felt tears sting her eyes. Is this why they gave me the choice? She whispered. Because it wasn't really mine? No, Ethan said. You made the choice. They just didn't stop you. That night, Zira couldn't sleep. She stared at her son, curled up beside her. The same small hands, the same soft breath, but now, everything felt different. Not less real. Just heavier. What do you do when your child isn't just your child? When he's more? The next day, Zira packed a bag. Where are you going? Ethan asked. To the mountains, she said. To the Watchers. He stood up. No, you don't owe them anything. I'm not going for them, she said. I'm going so they can see that he is not a tool, not a weapon, not a project. She looked him in the eyes. He's a boy with a future, and they need to see that before they try anything again. Ethan wanted to argue, but he didn't single quotes d. Instead, he walked over, kissed her on the forehead, and whispered, "Then let them see what love made." The journey took 3 days. The path was silent. The woods no longer felt hostile, like they were waiting. On the 3rd night they came. The watchers didn't walk this time. They descended. No ship, no light. They simply arrived, as if space folded around them like a blanket peeling back to reveal a darker layer underneath. Zira stood in the center of a stone circle, her child by her side. He didn't cry. He didn't run. He looked up at them with a calm too old for his age, and said, "I'm not yours. I'm not theirs. I'm me." The watchers were silent. Then one stepped forward. "He speaks the forbiddance." Zira stepped in front of her son. "He speaks the truth." The Oracle project was not meant for freedom. "And yet," Zira said, "here he stands, free. What will he become?" Zira smiled. "Whatever he chooses." Then something unexpected happened. The watcher kneeled, only slightly, but it was enough. "Observation continues," it said. "Intervention canceled." And then they vanished. No warnings, no threats. Just gone. Zira returned home with her son. Ethan met them halfway down the road, heart in his throat. "You saw them?" She nodded. "They left. Forever?" She shrugged. "As close as they know how." He looked down at the boy. "So," Ethan said, "who are you today?" The child smiled. "I'm a gardener. I want to grow a forest." Ethan laughed. "Big dreams." The boy looked at him seriously. "They used to say I was a weapon." Ethan knelt beside him. "Well," he said, "even a weapon can plant a tree." Months passed. Then a year. The boy grew, and the house that once held fear and secrets became a home. Zira and Ethan raised a son born of war, shadow, and experiment. But he learned joy, trust, and terrible jokes. The world didn't forget him, but it no longer controlled him. He made choices because someone once chose him. Epilogue. One day, the boy, now older, sharper, taller, sat alone on the roof. He held a small glowing cube in his hand, the one Ethan had used years ago. He activated it. Inside was a message, never shown. Ethan's voice. "If you're hearing this, it means you're old enough to understand. You were born to be something big, maybe even something scary. But I want you to know, you were never mine because of that. You were mine because the day I met your mother, I realized the universe had gotten one thing right. It brought you to us. Now go make it right again." The boy smiled, and far in the sky, a star blinked. Maybe watching, maybe not. But it didn't matter, because this time, he was watching back.